Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Coram here today, Thursday, November 21st, and I'm joined by my colleague Ken Shreve with a look at the action today where we saw small caps taking the lead and a little bit of a wild day underneath the surface, Ken.
Yeah, it was NVIDIA's earnings report, certainly in focus from the get-go, but it ended up being a really strong day for financial stocks. NASDAQ lagged, but really strong breadth. We'll talk about that in just a minute.
Yeah.
But I want to take a look at Amphenol, APH, company that maybe benefited a little bit from NVIDIA's earnings. Decker's Outdoor, this is a leaderboard stock, DECK, and also Technip FMC in the energy space. Technical breakout today.
Okay, well, we'll take a look at those three stocks, but first, let's analyze the major indexes. The NASDAQ today finishing slightly higher in the green, still below that 19,000 level, but another day of support at the 21-day line. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 up 0.5%, bouncing off of its 21-day line, even stronger was the Dow, with blue chips up almost 1.1% today, Ken, getting close once again to that 44,000 level. And then over in the small caps, that was the leading area today with the Russell 2000 up 1.7%. And like you said, financials, one area of strength today, along with energy, it seemed.
Yes, indeed. Just going back to the Nasdaq, it really didn't move a whole lot. Today it ended basically flat. And what was surprising is that breadth was more than 2 to 1 positive, or right around 2 to 1 positive on the Nasdaq. So not much of a gain, a fractional gain, but you had a lot of stocks, participating, at least from a winners losers perspective. You did have MicroStrategy, MSTR was a big loser on the Nasdaq today, and even though Bitcoin, you know traded higher. MicroStrategy had a really rough day. You can see down about 16%. Also, Coinbase, COIN, also was a drag on the Nasdaq, and Google as well, because the Department of Justice is looking at Google and wanting them to get rid of their Chrome browser to satisfy antitrust concerns. So you can see a tough day for Google, but outside of the Nasdaq, pretty good day for the S&P 500. It lagged the Russell 2000, but good solid volume on the New York Stock Exchange and the Nasdaq today. Looks like a little bit of a accumulation day for both indexes, and a nice move above those recent highs for the S&P 500.
Yeah, so we do like seeing that. And since you mentioned breadth, Ken, I did pull up QQEW, the equal weighted NASDAQ 100 index. And even though the Qs were up just less than 0.4% on the day, QQEW up 1.5%. So as you mentioned, underneath the surface, if you take out Google and Nvidia, which did close positive on the day, but not up in a big way. So I guess, kind of weighing down the Qs, but QQEW, definitely a lot of interesting stuff happening out there once you strip out those mega cap weightings.
Yeah, no doubt about it. It was kind of a rocky day for Nvidia, but that eventually closed slightly positive, I think. But yeah, QQEW is just a good example of how breadth was strong underneath the surface. I would imagine RSP probably even did a little better than the S&P 500 as well. Don't know for sure, but
Yep.
that's another up 1.3%. So yeah, just good action underneath the surface. It does seem like the Santa Claus rally has come a little early, and we made it through Nvidia's earnings, so
Yeah.
just enjoying just a good bullish day, even though tech stocks lagged. Good action below the surface.
Yeah, we'll definitely take it because a lot of the major indexes had been testing support at the 21-day line. So as of now, that test does, feel like we're passing the test as of right now. Perhaps the Nasdaq not as convincing or decisive of a bounce, but it is still holding that support level.
Yeah, and earlier this week on Tuesday, our weekly guest on IBD Live, David Ryan, was just he was little bit wary of the Nasdaq and wasn't sure that it's going to be a leading index. And certainly today it lagged, but we'll have to see. Overall, it was a nice recovery off lows for the Nasdaq, closed in the upper half of its range. Didn't gain much ground, but there were buyers in there lifting the index off lows, and you can see volume picked up the pace nicely from Wednesday. So it looks just like a nice accumulation day for the Nasdaq.
Yeah. And you mentioned strength in financials. So let's go to XLF up 1.3% on the day. One of the big winners in that Wednesday reaction day after the election. But ever since then, it's just been going sideways, tightening up. And now we're starting to see another move higher.
Yeah, this is financials are tough. If you look back on XLF, it initially tried to break out over the 42, 43 level, hit a high of 44.11, and then the market really fell apart in early August, and XLF got dragged down. Then it started to recover and took out that 44.11 pivot, and that really turned out to be a nice entry. So up here, it's just like a lot of other financial stocks. It looks a little stretched, but you could say, I mean, it gapped up above that 47.81 level. That's when President-elect Trump, won the election. It's been really holding gains and trading tightly. The top weightings in here: J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, really, showing relative strength. So financials really seem to be pricing in some good news next year. Maybe better business, better investment banking environment, you name it. But small cap, mid cap, large cap financial stocks continue to act quite well here.
They sure do. And let's take a look at XLU. Usually, utilities are kind of sleepy, but not this year. These are the new AI stocks, as we all are well aware of at this point. And those really started getting into gear again today, Ken, with XLU up about 1.8% on the day.
Yeah, with Nvidia's mostly good news. I think the only problem with Nvidia's earnings report is maybe the guidance for their January ended quarter revenue was just a little bit above expectations. The market might have wanted a little more, but the utilities certainly are going to be big beneficiaries as data centers expand. The power needs are undeniable. So there's a lot of utilities that have been acting well. We've been talking a lot about them, but nice. Not surprising to see some utilities moving well today in light of the pretty good numbers from Nvidia. The XLU here looks like it just gave a little buy signal today, but could try to break out over this 82.50 level. So for ETF investors, this is still one to watch.
Yeah. Okay. Let's take a look at some stocks. Here's APH Amphenol in the electronic parts group, and they're a provider of connectivity solutions for data centers. So, as you mentioned, this sort of ripple effect that we're seeing from NVIDIA's earnings report to all of these other follow on stocks in the broader AI theme. Amphenol definitely one of them with a gain of 1.3% today. Sorry, 3.3% today.
3.3%. Yeah, and so we start with the fundamentals, and you can see Amphenol has been a beneficiary of this data center proliferation. Again, connectivity solutions for memory storage provides a similar equipment to Arista Networks. That's an also kind of connectivity firm. But with Amphenol, revenue growth has been accelerating for the past 2 quarters, actually 3 quarters. It looks like earnings growth has been accelerating. So you've got a good fundamental picture here. Very liquid stock with a average daily volume 6.8 million shares, and this stock is still in a buy zone here. 71.20 looks like a legitimate handle entry. It cleared that, pulled back in fairly light volume, found support at the 21 day, and it's just nicely in a buy zone here. We don't like to buy a stock when it's more than 5% past a pivot. So Amphenol is still in the 5% buy zone here, and just not a name that is mentioned very often
Yeah.
when it comes to AI workloads and these types of things. But they're front and center. You can go to amphenol.com and read all about their AI initiatives and machine learning as well.
Yeah. And what I also like, Ken, is how this earnings line is starting to accelerate. You mentioned the acceleration of growth on both the top and bottom lines, and we're definitely seeing that in the earnings line there as well. I think it's just a cool longer term visual representation of what's going on with the fundamentals and of what the stock is doing around that time.
Yeah, we do spend a lot of time talking about a stock's technicals and supply and demand, but we always make sure we're dealing with a company that's got pretty good fundamentals. So that earnings line is swinging nicely higher, like you said, helped by some accelerating growth in recent quarters. Estimates still look pretty good. They may be a little bit light, but return on equity 24%. This looks like a good way to play this. AI bonanza.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on and take a look at Deckers Outdoors, the shoe stock and leaderboard, I believe. Looking at this one, and did you guys take action today on this stock at 3.2%?
Yeah, well, I decided to increase the position. It's a relatively new holding on leaderboard. Deckers we regard as really one of the highest quality footwear makers out there. Again, a very consistent track record of bottom line and top line growth. You noted that initial breakout over a handle area, but it closed. I'm hoping today's going to be a setup day, and we get a bona fide breakout tomorrow. We'll have to see. But Deckers does look to have this alternate handle entry of 182.26, closed just below it, but nice to see volume pick up the pace a little bit today, and it's just kind of sitting right below that buy point. So whether it's the Hoka shoes or the UGG sheepskin boots, this company has just continues to execute quarter after quarter after quarter, and a nice setup here.
Yeah, gain of 3.2% on the day. Let's now go to FTI. This is Technip FMC. As you mentioned, this is in the oil and gas space. So, like financials, we also have seen energy stocks coming into focus in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, nice to see some energy stocks participating here. Good fundamentals as well as tech for Technip FMC. It's kind of a funny name. Technip is a French company. They bought a Texas company called FMC Technologies several years ago. So the combined company is called Technip FMC. They've got three different headquarters in Houston, London, Paris, but they do business all over the world as a supplier of machinery and equipment to the oil and gas industry. So got a relative strength line that's poking up, getting close to new highs, and big earnings increases in recent quarters. Revenue growth has slowed just a little bit, but I'll tell you those triple digit earnings increases look pretty nice. So another setup here, a stock that could continue to participate in this year-end rally.
So, yeah, it seems like oil and gas, financials, technology hanging in there. And I think underneath the surface, if you look at some areas, retail, as you mentioned, we looked at Deckers. It seems like medical, though, is one area of notable outflows. Ken, your thoughts on sort of the shakeup in, the rotations that we've seen over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there has been some selling in biotech and parts of the healthcare sector. I've always looked at Intuitive Surgical as being kind of a big leader in the medical sector in the healthcare space,
And that one
and
looks fine.
yeah, so you see some pockets of strength in healthcare, but when you look at I'm trying to XLV, is that the healthcare
Yeah,
ETF? Yeah,
XBI is the biotech, and then XLV. Yeah, those 2
have really been
showing weakness.
Yeah, I've really been hit hard here. You can see XLVs below the 200-day moving average. So you've got pockets of strength in healthcare, but definitely under some selling pressure. Listen, the leadership in this market has been broadening out for a while. Pretty broad-based strength. We had a misstep from Target earlier this week in retail, but really strong results a day earlier from Walmart. So still seeing some pretty good reports in the retail sector as well. So nice broad-based leadership should set the stage for a decent year-end rally. And when the calendar turns, we'll see what January brings. But nice Santa Claus
Yeah.
rally taking place, and another good rally today. Even though the Nasdaq kind of sat it out.
Right. Can you believe it that how we've got a little over a month left in this year? It's flown by.
It has. They always go by fast. It's pretty
Thank you.
incredible. Pretty
Yeah.
incredible.
All right. And yeah, what a year it's been. All right, everyone. Well, that is it for today. And Ken, thank you so much as always. Great to see you.
Yep. You too. My pleasure.
Okay. And thanks to everyone for tuning in. We will be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details on that. We're going to be joined by George Kachuk, returning to the show, longtime IBD style trader, also a previous investing championship winner. So it'll be great to hear from him and how he's handling the market. So that's happening tomorrow morning at IBD Live, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close to wrap up the week.